This is Ken Gavin, Chief Communications Officer for the Archdiocese of Philadelphia, welcoming you to Learning Lessons, an exclusive summer video series powered by Catholic Philly and recorded in the heart of Philadelphia, the cradle of liberty and the cradle of Catholic education in the United States. Over the past several weeks, I've been your host for candid conversations with leaders from the Office of Catholic Education, and we're here for another one today. It's my pleasure to be joined by Dr. Brooke Touche, our Superintendent for Secondary Schools and Schools of Special Education in the Archdiocese, and by Dr. Patricia Rigby, one of our two Assistant Superintendents for Secondary Schools in the Archdiocese. Tricia, Brooke, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Brooke, we have talked about a number of things over the weeks. Academics are important, spirituality, Catholic mission is so important to our schools. One of the other aspects that I'd love to explore is the service that we provide to our students, to our school families. And I'm thinking of things like guidance counselors, the role that they have that is so critical to helping our young people succeed during their secondary years, but also in preparation for what they're going to do after they graduate from our high schools. Can you talk a little bit about why that is such an important role and maybe your vision for what's happening in that realm?
I would love to. Our guidance counselors are an incredible component to the complete school experience. They provide direction for our students for planning for post-graduation. So whether that's for work and technical training or that's college graduation, they are integral from day one in helping them to plan and guide that with students as well as with the families. They also provide a plethora of services when it comes to graduation. They're doing recommendation letters. They're providing resources to the family and to the students, whether they need support emotionally, socially, in the increasing expectations as they go through high school, as well as academic support. So they just serve as this hub of career and instructional excellence that really provide the students anything they need. And they have different resources that they can tap into to provide our students. Our guidance counselors are critical for our mission.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Brooke.
Thank you.
Tricia, thanks again so much for being here with us today. I appreciate it. We've heard from Brooke from sort of a 30,000 foot view of why guidance and services to our students and school families are really important. I know that our assistant superintendents are regularly out in the field working with our teachers, our administrators, our staff members, seeing students, seeing school families. So I'm hoping you can talk more about day to day, what's happening in terms of those services and our students and school families.
Thank you for having me today. The guidance department is critical to supporting our students. And so in that day-to-day work, when we start with freshmen and orientation days, welcoming them and letting them understand what resources are available to support them throughout their 4 years. And then working very intentionally in a 4-year curriculum program that begins in English classes, where they come in and they talk about the college and career process, signing students on for Naviance, College Board, Khan Academy, to provide those foundational informational pieces that will support those students through their 4 years of building their resumes, getting ready for scholarships, college applications. We start with that college and career readiness right away, making sure that they understand that those opportunities exist, whether it be a 4-year college or a career and technical education program, whether it's military service, whether it's working with our fire, police, EMTs, so that they understand that whatever opportunities they feel called to pursue through their God-given gifts and talents, that guidance department is there to support that.
That's great. And then as things develop over time, if students are finding a niche, something that is really of interest to them, a calling that they feel, are they sort of supported on that pathway as they move forward by the individuals within our schools?
Yes, many of our schools will find out through that initial freshman interest survey where students might want to consider making their college application ultimately. And then they help that student work on their courses, maybe summer opportunities, different ways to explore careers very early in their education process.
And of course, some of our students come into high school and leave high school with clear vision of what they want out of life, what they feel called to do. But for others, that really is a process of discernment, of learning, and sometimes a very confusing one. How do we support those individuals who might have more trouble finding their way?
I think a lot of what happens is that they start by taking those interest inventories. And then once that guidance counselor meets with that student on an ongoing basis and starts to ask the critical questions, do you see yourself in this role? What skills do you think you would need to pursue this interest? And if the student comes in with no interest at all, starting to say, well, what kind of hobbies are you interested in? What kind of things do you like to do in your free time? Is there a way to build a pathway towards that? And letting students know that it's no longer that traditional, I'm going to be doing this for 40 years. It's oftentimes, where do you think your initial interests are? And then how can you capitalize on those skills and grow those skills into other opportunities and build on that and just keep growing and building in response to the world in which we live today?
And for the students who do choose to go to college to pursue academics after they finish their high school career, the college application process, I know, can be a very daunting one and seems much more daunting now than it may have been even 5 or 10 years ago. How do we help our young people work through that?
I think one of the greatest things that's happened within our schools over the last few years is building up the Naviance program. Naviance is a very comprehensive program. Use it on that 9 to 12 platform. And it has various interest surveys. It has different opportunities for the student to see what skills they possess and how they might capitalize on them. It has all of the colleges available with their application process. So when they fill out their Common App, there's common forms for financial aid, there's common forms for scholarships. And so going through that program and working with that and capitalizing on the resources that are available to them, it really helps that student build that robust profile moving forward. We do also, through the guidance department, offer college fairs. Sometimes they're in our building, sometimes they're at local places like the convention center, where the students go and they get the opportunity to talk with college admissions counselors. Our schools also bring in college admissions counselors that meet with students during the lunch periods and do one-on-ones. Sometimes instant decision takes place during those opportunities, especially among our Catholic colleges and universities. So great opportunities.
So what I'm hearing is that it really is a process that begins as soon as a freshman comes into one of our schools. It's not as if we're waiting until junior year to start this. We're helping them from day one to achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. If we wait too long, we're not going to get that student through that college process.
Wonderful. And I'm curious too a bit about emotional supports. And one of the things that we seek to do in our schools is it's not just education, it really is holistic formation of young men and women of Christian character. And especially for young adults, there are emotional struggles, and many of them that could come from a variety of sources. So what do we have in place to help students who need that kind of support?
Yes, the one thing that COVID has taught us, and certainly in this post-COVID world, is there is a lot of trauma that remains from the experiences that the students have faced over the last few years, also with students who are experiencing violence in their neighborhoods on a daily basis. And so that social emotional piece is critical. And we have the core and catapult services that also come in and support our schools in the city of Philadelphia and our intermediate resources, so that we have school psychologists that are available to our students. We have extra support services available. Our teachers also have had opportunities to learn social emotional skills through professional development, so that they are the first ones on the ground to see challenges as they arise, oftentimes as a student changes what they're doing in class and say, something's different right now. Mm-hmm. And so they can take that student directly to guidance and offer that support to them.
So there's a high degree of collaboration that's possible then between faculty and guidance and exterior support services that we can bring in with qualified and licensed professionals to help our young people.
Yes, as you indicated, it's a holistic approach to each child.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Tricia. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Brooke, Tricia, thank you both again for joining us. And I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in for another episode of Learning Lessons. We'll be back again soon with more conversation. Until then, peace and all good things.